what are the different elements of abstraction. They're not, there's very different levels that you need to use abstraction or not use abstraction.
Yeah, I can start off, Howard, if any. Now, for me, it's very clear. I'm really looking forward to the other presentations as well. Although I cannot attend live most of them because I'm already busy. But
Understand?
I think what I'm getting out of it, and I hope you can maybe agree on this one. I get abstraction, right? Sometimes it's needed, but it's another thing to have generalization. I very much
Ah,
difficulty with party and roles for as a very fine example, because it is abstracted and generalized. But as you were saying in your actual picture, I think I like that picture. So you have party and role, and then you said next to it, they are suppliers, they are customers, they are
yes,
whatever. But those are the terms. If I'm talking to business people, right, people who need to understand on a high level what's going
yes,
on, they don't understand party and role. It's a very technical solution to kind
yes,
of in abstract or group information together to think. It's easier to model, easier to handle, easier for future use. But it's not for communication towards business. I think that's
correct.
my main issue. And I actually I like what you're saying is that that kind of abstraction, right? It it isn't easy. It's also not easy to understand or easy to create or easy to maintain. You have to be
Right.
very careful. Is it
Yeah.
helping me? Yes or no?
Yes.
Basically.
Is it providing value? And if it's not, stop it and jump out of it. Now,
Yeah.
uh, what Remco, what we like to do is, and I actually like to do that before starting the data model, is we have this idea of camera settings. So we use a camera as an analogy and say, on where before you take a picture, you must understand what you want out of that picture. What's your level of zoom? What's your level
Hmm.
of focus? And the different elements. And what we should be doing is with the business, before we start the data modeling, we should describe these characteristics of what the business need.
Yeah.
And then there are certain things of if you're looking for a concrete implementation, don't go and build an abstract one, because that's not what the customer is looking for.
Yeah. I think I like your analogy about camera use because I can already kind of imagine that if I'm zooming out a lot and see a lot of stuff and getting backwards almost
Yes,
getting a satellite image, it's a very high level overview, but is it good enough and understandable for the business what they're looking at? The same token, if you zoom in too much and have the
yes,
almost the
correct.
macro lens option, you don't know what
Yes,
you're looking at because it's too detailed.
yeah,
So you have to get the right, indeed, the right angle, the right focus
right. So,
and level. Yeah,
and what I like to use as an example is data privacy. And they refer to a data subject. They don't care whether it's a customer, a vendor, whatever it is. It doesn't matter. You've got to treat them all in the same way. So they almost enforce a level of generic treatment of that.
yeah, maybe,
So we
maybe.
built a well, we built a data mart where we came off different areas, and basically to say that if there's the requirement was a data breach model. And we basically said we need to communicate with all of our data subjects about a data breach. Was any data of theirs exposed? And so the level of questions and the level of presentation was at a data subject level.
Yeah,
So, and again, but it was specifically the reason for it was data breaches. It wasn't to do any other form of assessments or business events. It's about reporting on a data breach.
yeah. I think that's the reason why I always like to get that discussion early on with business people when I'm starting out the morning, right, on my first part of the Helm process.
Yes,
Business people can tell me what their focus is, what their terminology is, at what level they want to see the information.
right. Right.
And I'm using their
100%.
terminology.
Yes. Agreed. Happy. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome.
Any other comments? Sham, I know you normally ask lots of questions and you didn't ask one. Did I confuse the issue or go too general?
Me? No, it's fine. It's just like it's just a busy day, so I'm trying to listen and I'm doing a bit of work. So
Okay.
that's
No problem.
my excuse. So my apologies.
Okay.
But normally, yeah, I do appreciate. I'm more interactive than this, but I'm sure others would like to contribute
Yes.
also to those questions.
I'd love to see, Patricia, we haven't seen you for a while. Welcome, sir.
Yes, how are you?
How are you
Good to
doing?
see you. I'm doing good. Greetings to everybody from
Fantastic.
Ecuador in South America. It's 10 a.m. here, so I usually join, and as Howard said, I haven't joined in quite a while. Um, I was studying for the CDMP and working, so I was busy. But probably the topic you touched today is a bit too advanced at the moment for my needs. But something I got interested in is there's a abstraction safety guide. If you could,
Yes.
I'm not sure if you have shared or if you could share that safety guide where we can begin
Okay.
to understand what safety points Steve suggests.
Right. Okay.
That would be a great starting point. I
Right.
don't usually work with data models, but that's something, of course, that is necessary. Very soon, I will be doing a data governance assessment in a company, and I am convinced that having the data model and understanding some abstraction and is going to be useful to understand the business, of course. So that safety
Right.
guide probably is a good idea, a starting
Mm.
point.
And just to share with you, Patricia, especially on the CDMP data management fundamentals, I think Hisham mentioned it as well, as that subtype and supertype, you'll get those in the CDMP exam.
I don't recall, but you get those. I believe you get those, yes.
Yes.
So that's
And then
also a
they
topic
also
I
a lot
have
of
to
the
reinforce.
yeah. Yeah, and then they'll also ask something like, what is the use or what is the benefit of a conceptual model? And then the difference. So those are asked quite often. But good luck with your exam.
No, I already took it. I passed. It was on the
Oh,
31st of
nice.
December. Yes.
Yes, I
I
remember you doing
already
that.
took it.
And so you said you were studying for your CDMP, or are you studying for your data governance or?
Then I'm working as a data governance consultant for a Latin American consulting company.
Yeah.
So all these teachings and all these concepts are useful for my work. And also as a personal, learning initiative. But it's I'm still basic, in spite of having a CDMP, you can always consider yourself a learner, and that's what I consider
Oh, yes.
myself. So
Oh, yes.
many times the presentations you have are all they have so many teachings and so many lessons. So I always consider myself a learner. Mhm.
Fantastic. Excellent. Thank you very much, Patricia.
Thank
Lovely to
you.
see you again. Thank
It's
you.
likewise.
Yeah. Excellent. Any other questions? Martin, anything from your side? I don't want to embarrass anybody. So if you don't have anything, that's fine. Sorry, Hisham.
No, that just a quick one for me. Like when we do data modeling and we kind of like
Yeah.
this is the existing or the proposed data model. When you think ahead 3, 5 years of how can I make this model very agile to
Yeah.
whatever changes that is coming, is there best practice that need to be done, or is there
Yes.
a way, a methodology, a framework that need to be followed to be able to absorb those changes in the future?
Yes. There are certainly different modeling techniques, Hisham, that give you agility and flexibility. So there was a nice presentation 2 weeks ago on Data Vault in terms of focusing on the agility and the core concepts. You also got things like the anchor vault modeling, which allows extreme level of agility, and they even refer to it as what they call an additive model, which means you never have to go back and change anything. You're really just adding all the time. Okay. And I can certainly see that when you get into abstraction and you sort of all of a sudden find types that you can't load into that abstraction or whatever it is, then there's a certain amount of complexity that come to break that apart and to rebuild it. Depends on how well your initial abstraction design was. But what you will do is depending on the type of application where you're running. Are you running in an application environment? Or are you running or are you running in a data warehousing, data mart environment? A good example, for example, in dimensional data marts is you should never abstract. It's all about concrete. There's no such thing as an abstract data mart.
Yes.
So it really depends on the environment, and it depends on what you're trying to achieve. So you'll find vendors, software vendors that are trying to write a program that can deal with anybody's requirements. They tend to go for more of the abstract route. Okay. And they tend to try to add flexibility when they start. But one of the things that the safety guide says is, please, if that's not what your business require right now, then stop wasting your time. If you're not adding any value, don't go down the route of abstraction.
I would add to this one indeed, right, Howard? If you're going for operational or stuff or more modules, abstraction is okay, right? That's what they're doing. If you go look to ERP system, CRM system, that kind of applications,
Yeah,
you see abstraction all over the place, and that really makes sense.
right.
I would say I wouldn't even argue over there. When you go for data warehousing, data marts, of course, dimensional or flat file, dimensional, cube, whatever, is perfectly fine. I would say especially for warehousing, where it's all about integration as well, I
Yeah,
would never go for full abstraction or anything else than one of the ensemble methods. And you're absolutely
yeah,
right. Anchor modeling. If you expect a lot of changes, do anchor modeling. Every attribute its own
yeah,
table. Sounds crazy, but you're only adding new stuff, and you're only disregarding stuff which you don't need anymore. But you don't have to change your data model ever, apart from adding new
yeah,
information. But any of the ensemble models will do.
yeah. Hisham, did that answer your question?
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Very helpful. Get your camera settings right in the beginning of the project. As Remco say, talk to them. What is their requirement? Do they understand where they're going, where this model's going? Document those requirements. And what I like to do is I set up an Excel spreadsheet of my camera settings. I take a screenshot and I attach it as an image in my data model so that when the next modeler comes along, he can understand why I modeled it like that. What were the requirements? So don't break those requirements.
Yeah, and I
Unless the
think
business say, I
that's a
want.
very smart thing. A very smart thing, Howard.
Hmm.
I'm trying to convince Hans to write an article, by the way, about all the different warehouse layers you can imagine,
Okay, cool.
including for every layer, what are the requirements? What do we mean? Why do we
Yes,
want yes or no? And to give
right.
you already an idea, it probably will have around 19 layers.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, yeah, so Hisham, that's the type of detail that you're looking for, is those best practice, good practice design ways of helping you make a decision as to
Yep.
what direction you choose.
I think I have to say, thank God that I don't do data modeling in a way. I just, I do get
It's the
involved
best
and
job in the
engage.
world, Hasham.
I just engage in those discussions. So I like to know what sounds right and what doesn't sound right,
Right.
and just share that. But yeah,
Okay.
my heart is close to data governance, data management, data viz,
Right.
those type of domains, those type of areas. So
Hisham, what I can, and I will plead with you until forever and ever happens. The best way for me to get agreement on business glossary is to represent it in a data model.
wow, okay.
So I actually use a scorecard on my glossary when it comes to related terms and associations and things like that. What I like to say is, well, could I take this and put it into a simple conceptual model and show the dependencies and show the relationships between terms? And then all of a sudden that communication or that saying of a picture says 1,000 words, it's a whole lot easier to sign off all the business rules when you're dealing with an image like that than when you're dealing with a big Word Excel document.
Noted. Thank you.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
Yeah. I'll share a story. One weekend, we were trying to force the financial markets department to build a glossary. And they said, no, we don't have time. It's crazy. It's going to take us too long. And for some reason, I spoke to the head of department and I said, I agree with you. It does take a long time, but let's do something. Let's get it started and let's get the journey going. So she said, fine, Howard. It came up for a long weekend. And I had my two daughters. I know Debbie wasn't there, but I had a daughter and a friend. There were 5 of us, and we spent a weekend building a business glossary. And we landed up with something like 3,500 terms. It was absolutely crazy. I presented it to them, and everyone just about fell asleep. And I tried to get them engaged. I tried to get them to discuss it, and I just couldn't get any. I couldn't get any traction. And I said, okay, we'll break it up into areas, and I'll build a data model. Man, the discussions went crazy then. It's a case of, that's not the right, you can't use that as a subtype, and you can't do that. We don't do this. This business rule doesn't adhere to, and then it was a wonderful discussion. Then I had lots of fun. Until then, I was like trying to pull teeth out of the people.
Wow. Yeah, I think to me anything that is visual, I would understand it straight away. I'm a visual guy, so that's how I would perceive any information, and that's how I present also information. I like to be more visual so people can understand it, and I get them on board easily.
Yes, certainly.
That's
I'll
also
actually try
why
to do a demo.
sorry, that's also when I'm doing my workshops to capture what the business concepts are from the business. Whenever they're struggling or I'm struggling, I'm making stupid drawings on the board and to try to find out the business process or the subject we're talking about. Indeed, what you're saying, Hisham, is get something visual on the board, and what you're saying, Howard, as well. It could be a model, it could be just a drawing with some pictures on it. I even make a data model with completely visuals, so it's cars and people and trucks and whatever going around, and that's my data model, just to get the discussion going and get people to a certain level of understanding.
100%. You got to play, and that's what I keep on saying to my architects is, PowerPoint can be your friend, in the ways of putting this together and creating icons and things like that. Sometimes I find the data modeling tools are a little bit too constrained in using images and icons to represent the concepts.
That's true. That's true.
Guys, thank you very much. Thank you. A wonderful time. I hope you have a great evening, and we'll see you again next week.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Remco.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleased to meet you. Bye-bye. Thank you.